So welcome to the public information session for draft one for the 2022-23 enrollment plan. So policy 4150 has four pillars: operational efficiency, proximity, stability, and student achievement. And these four pillars drive the work that's done in creating the attendance areas for an enrollment plan. If you'd like more detailed information, you can go to the addendum, specifically slide 113 in the draft one presentation. The capital improvement plan, which is a 7-year plan that the Wake County school staff and the Wake County planners work on together in order to create a forward-thinking plan of what schools would we be opening in the future. So in 2022-23, you can see that Barton Pond Elementary is opening, Apex Friendship Elementary, and Herbert Akins Road Middle School. We also have a fourth school that's being built, but it will not have its own base attendance area until 24-25. That's Woods Creek Elementary, which is in the Holly Springs area. This school will be serving as a swing space for Bauckham Elementary for 2 years while it gets its renovation. We have no new schools planned to open in 2023. In 2024, Woods Creek Elementary, Rex Road Elementary in Holly Springs. We also have Felton Grove High School, which is in the Apex area, but I have this highlighted in red because the opening date is to be determined at this time. As you look at the years further out, 25, 26, 26, 27, and 27, 28, these years are meant to be flexible. What we look at is data at that particular time. We look at any new needs the district may have, so that provides us the flexibility to shuffle schools in and out of the later years of the plan before money is committed to it. As of right now in this plan, we have an elementary slated for the Fuquay area in 2025, as well as an elementary on Hilltop Needmore Road in Fuquay. In Apex, we have South Salem Street Elementary. We have a middle school on the Parkside campus in Morrisville, as well as a small model high school in that same area in Morrisville. In 2026, we're looking at a high school, a small high school site in Raleigh. And then in 2027, a middle school in the Garner area. So I'll skip through the new schools. So the first school we're going to discuss is Green Hope Elementary. So in this plan, we have proposed a move from Hortons Creek Elementary, which has an enrollment cap, and proposed to provide relief to that cap school by assigning students to Green Hope Elementary. The purple section here, that is the current base attendance area for Hortons Creek. The lighter purple represents Salem Elementary. And you can see this area here hashed out on the left-hand side. There's a top portion here for Salem Elementary. There are no students living in that particular area at the moment. Where the students are here are in the Hortons Creek base attendance area. And on the map on the right, you can see in green the area that would be proposed. Now, the next several slides we're going to talk about will show the middle school and high school moves for this same exact geographic area. But first, we're going to look at the before and after tables. So here on the left-hand side, you have the school names, the school calendar type, T for traditional, the school capacity with trailers. So some schools may not have trailers like Hortons Creek, but we show the capacity with trailers to show the maximum amount of seats that the school has available for students at this time. Then we project the enrollment out, so for 22-23, and then again for 24-25. And then the after down here shows the impact of the move when it takes place. So again, you can see 2022-23, Green Hope Elementary would increase from 82% crowded to 92% crowded based on this move. And Hortons Creek Elementary would go from 166% crowded to 151% crowded in 2022. So again, the exact same geographic area, looking at Mills Park Middle School, which also has an enrollment cap. and proposing to assign the students to Davis Drive Middle School. And the reason why we included this particular area for middle school and again for high school is because some of the feedback we've gotten over the years for families when they're reassigned is they asked for the same calendar if possible, and then also to have a cohort of students traveling with them so that when they went to middle school and high school, they would have people that they knew. So that's why we included the middle school as well, and then again the high school. Again, you can see here Mills Park Middle School and Davis Drive. Mills Park Middle School with an enrollment cap would go from 135% crowded to 132. And Davis Drive Middle School from 79% to 83. Again, no middle school students impacted from Salem Middle School. And then again here for high school, you can see the blue is the Panther Creek base attendance area that has an enrollment cap, and the green is Green Hope High School. And again, Panther Creek High School with an enrollment cap has a projected enrollment of 95%. Again, this is with trailers. Green Hope at 83, and then they would go to 92 and 86 respectively. So here, Durant Road Elementary, we have a proposal to provide relief to Abbott's Creek Elementary, which is found here in the blue. Abbott's Creek has an enrollment cap. The green school here is Durant Road Elementary, which is across the street and has available seats. So we are proposing to provide some relief to Abbott's Creek by proposing this particular area here. So when you look at the crowding numbers, Abbott's Creek is proposed to have a crowding of 131%, and after the move, they would go to 119%. Durant Road Elementary would go from 86% to 97%. This is a corresponding middle school move that goes along with it. So the students going from East Millbrook Middle School to Durant Road Middle, again, trying to keep a cohort together. And you can see the crowding numbers there. Again, this move was only included to provide a cohort for families. So here we have a proposal of students to move to Pleasant Grove Elementary. This area down here in the light greenish blue is Northwoods Elementary that has an enrollment cap. This is the area that's up around Airport Road, Chapel Hill Road here, and US 40 here. Here's the airport. This area here is Pleasant Grove in orange. And so we are proposing to move students from this particular area out of a cap school into Pleasant Grove Elementary. Again, Northwoods with a projected enrollment of 113% in 2022 would go to 99% in 2022. And then Pleasant Grove at 96% would go to 100. What's also not factored in this particular move is we had recently added a change in the application area for Sycamore Creek students. Sycamore Creek students currently calendar to Pleasant Grove Elementary, and so they would no longer be assigned to that school. So that would free up additional seats for Pleasant Grove over time. I addressed the cap schools. I can go back if anyone wants to talk about some of the underutilized schools. If there's anyone in attendance, just drop it in the chat and they will let me know. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to the stability rules and the calendar application area changes. So for here, Abbott's Creek, which has an enrollment cap, they currently have Durant Road Elementary as their calendar application school, and staff is proposing to add a second calendar application school to help provide relief to Abbott's Creek, and we're offering Brassfield Elementary. And this would come with district bus transportation. So the stability rules. So for elementary and middle school students, this would be students assigned from an existing school to a new school. So in this particular discussion tonight, none of the schools mentioned here would apply. These are the 3 schools where those rules on slide 73 would apply to. On slide 75, though, elementary and middle school students that are assigned at a capped or overflow school who would be assigned to an existing school. So all students that would rising into grades 5 or 8, so current 4th graders or 7th graders, they may request to transfer back during the designated application period, which is the stability transfer period, which would be in December. If they apply to go back, if they're eligible, they would not receive district bus transportation. We would guarantee those seats for those children. Their siblings would also be able to apply to go back, but for 1 year only. So while the 5th grader, rising 5th grader or 8th grader attend that last year, their siblings can go with them for that 1 year, and then they would be assigned to the new base school for their address. Again, student assignment staff will reach out to families who are eligible. We will email them the link to submit the transfer request, give them the window of when they can be submitted, and we'll talk about that later on. And then we will again guarantee all of those if you are eligible. So who would that apply to here? The Durant Road Elementary students coming from Abbott's Creek, Green Hope students coming from Hortons Creek, Pleasant Grove students coming from Northwoods, and Davis Drive students at middle school coming from Mills Park Middle. High school students. So for high school, we proposed all existing to existing school students. So current students in 9th, 10th, and 11th they can request a transfer to go back to their previous school. Again, we would guarantee all of those as long as they're submitted during the application period that we'll talk about. However, the difference with the high school students is that they can all go back at all grades, and there is no limit on the time that they can stay, as well as for their siblings. The one similarity, though, is that all transfer students, they would not receive district bus transportation. So here's the timeline. On October 5th, we presented draft 1. We're currently wrapping up our information sessions. Draft 2 will be presented to the board on November 16th during the board work session. We have a proposal for the board to have a public hearing on November 30th. We will let you know when that becomes public. And then we have a final vote on December 7th. The stability transfer period is December 13th through January 2nd. That's when all eligible families can apply to transfer back to their current school. And again, student assignment staff will contact you if you are eligible. October 15th, the pre-registration opens. Well, it has opened for the 2022-23 school year. On November 6th, we have the Magnet Fair and Early College Fair. The application period opens. December 14th, the Early College application period will close. January 27th will end the Magnet year-round application period, with results getting emailed and posted to parent counts on February 23rd for the Early College, Magnet, and year-round applications. February 25th through March 11th opens the request for transfer period, or better known as the hardship transfer period. So how can you provide feedback? You can go to the website to get updates on information at wcpss.net/2022 enrollment proposal. You can attend virtual public meetings like you are tonight. You can provide feedback on wcpss.granicasideas.com. And when you get there, you can click on a specific thread for the conversation that you'd like to join. And again, the public hearing, and we will let the public know when that is finalized. So with that, I will turn it back to Corrali, and we will take any questions that any of you have for us to answer.
Hey, Glenn, we have a few. We're dropping them in.
Thank you. Okay, so the first one is Durant Road Elementary, a Title I school. According to the Wake County website, that would be yes. I believe that's for the 2021 school year. I'm not 100% sure if the 21-22 information has been posted yet, but we will double check and get you an answer to that as well. Someone asked about the number of trailers at Durant Road Elementary. Does the enrollment include trailers? The capacity would include trailers. That is correct. Enrollment is the number of students that are assigned to the school. Someone asked about their particular neighborhood assigned to Green Hope High School. Panther Creek is more proximate. Yes, as we had shared, when we have done reassignments in the past, parents have asked for the same calendar if possible, and then also a cohort of students. So that is why we included the middle school and high school recommendation for the reassignment out of Hortons Creek, which is capped, and Mills Park Middle School, which is capped. We included the high school for that cohort. Good question. If you're looking to keep a cohort together, why not start at elementary? The issue we have is you have two schools, the elementary and the middle school, both have enrollment caps. The high school is also capped, but it is not capping out a significant number of students currently. But this move is certainly for the elementary and middle schools to provide some relief. Okay, someone asked if Abbott's Creek is capped and there is a wait list where individuals are allowed in when a spot becomes available. That's how the capping process works. When you have an enrollment cap, we are sending students in and around that base to a school much further away. And so when we try to provide relief to a capped school, that will allow students who live in and around the school to come back. So what is the criteria you're considering for eligibility to stay at the current school? So we look at if you're assigned to a cap or overflow school, it would be rising 5th and 8th graders. They get to use the stability rules to return. If it's for high school, all students would have the eligibility to return. Someone asked, I'll have a rising 5th grader that I'd like to leave at their current school. Do the stability rules apply when a move causes a child to be assigned from an existing cap school to a new cap school? If whoever submitted that question, if staff could get your name, what I can do is I can provide a Office of Student Assignment staff member to reach out to you directly to walk you through your options, okay?
Hi, and we have that name. We'll just copy it and forward it over to the student assignment staff.
Thank you. So someone's asking about the students being moved to Durant as their base school from Abbott's. We didn't mention what the calendar application school is, but that is currently Fox Road is the traditional calendar application school for Durant Road Elementary. Oh, good question, and I'm sorry we didn't bring this up. So there's a question for Vance Elementary, the students that assigned from Vance to Rand Road, and I'll go back to that slide. Is it only affecting students on one side of the street on Rock Service Station Road? I can use the detailed map here. So when you zoom in, you can see that this particular road here, I believe this is Rock Service Station Road right here down at the bottom. yes, it would be the students on the east side of the road. They would be assigned to Rand Road Elementary out of Vance. What neighborhoods are affected regarding the move to Abbott's, from Abbott's to Durant? How is this area decided? Okay, let me pull up the map here. Okay, so when you look at the map here, this is Falls River Ave here that comes in, and then it stops all the way before you get to Neeland. So this section in here, Falls River Ave, the streets on either side there, and then heading all the way back out to Durant Road. How is this area decided? So as you can see, this area is very dense. It is very difficult to tell where neighborhoods begin and end. There is a break right here to the north before you get to Neeland Road. And then we took both sides of the street coming in on Falls River. Can Durant Road Elementary become a magnet school again? Staff has looked at considering Durant Road Elementary for as a magnet. However, you have to meet certain criteria for the Magnet Schools of America grant. And so we'll have to consider again to see if they qualify. Currently, I do not believe they qualify. Are you considering stability rules for all students at Abbott's Creek Elementary? Our proposal right now is for rising fifth graders to return for 1 year and their siblings for 1 year only. So good question. So some of the schools will still be over 100% after this move. Will there be another redistricting the following year? That staff looks to consider that. Our purpose for not making larger assignments in this particular year is we're trying to impact the least number of families as possible. And so based on some of the changes that we've proposed, we're hoping that it may provide some relief to the schools enough to not have to warrant an additional redistricting. But again, we will continue to look in the future years if necessary. But again, I just like to stress we're trying to impact the least number of families as possible. Someone brought up the stability exceptions for students currently assigned to Abbott's Creek. In an effort to provide relief to the school, we have to, well, staff feels that we'd like to propose more strict stability rules in order for the changes to take effect. The more students that you allow to remain at the school and their siblings over time causes the effect of the particular proposal to take longer to see the effects take hold. How much priority is given to siblings? A priority fifth grader with a younger sibling. So depending on the particular assignment for this family, and staff can get us the name and we can share with student assignment staff. If you are assigned to a new school or out of a capped or overflow school, then the fifth grader would be eligible to transfer back per the stability rules, and the sibling would get to go for 1 year only. Someone asking how did we pick the neighborhoods moving from Hortons Creek to Green Hope? We looked at the size of the neighborhood, the number of students that would be reassigned, as well as its proximity. It's furthest to the east of the Hortons Creek base attendance area, which is the closest to where we had available seats at Green Hope. So someone asked, is there a plan to hire additional teachers at Durant to compensate for the additional students? Yes, so we always hire students, always hire teachers based on the number of students at the school. Someone asking about Falls River taking a small portion. Is there a plan to take the rest of the community out of Abbott's Creek? Staff will look at that in the future. We currently do not have any plans to take any additional students at this time. We'd like to see the impact from this move first. Someone said we live closer to Abbott's Creek than Durant Road. While we want to provide you the most proximate school, we felt that Durant Road, being directly across the street from Abbott's Creek, was just as proximate. So someone asked again about Green Hope High School. Again, that had to do with a cohort for the elementary and middle school move. So we included the high school move as well. Will the second option to apply to Brassfield Elementary be applied to all families assigned to Durant? Staff reviews any transfer requests that come in, the calendar application requests. So it's based on seat availability. If we have available seats, we would certainly approve the requests. So someone asking about the number of reassignments over a period of time. Yes, we do take that into account. What we try to do is not reassign an address at a particular level within a 3-year period. So we try not to reassign you twice in elementary, at the elementary level in a 3-year period, or once, because it's a 3-year window for middle school, and then again twice for high school. But the senior year, we always let students return for their senior year. Okay, someone asking about they're within walking distance of a school. Is there a priority for students who can walk or bike to the school? You can submit a hardship transfer period if you'd like, February 25th through March 11th, and staff will review those requests. If they're submitted during that time period and staff denies the request, you will have the ability to have an appeal heard by the board. That appeal process, parents do not get to talk to board members directly. What you do is you come in for an appeal with student assignment staff, and then student assignment staff presents your case to the board in a separate closed session for a final answer. Someone asked, why did we stop at a certain area, and why not have additional families or addresses go to another school? Again, we're trying to limit the number of families impacted, and so we landed on the proposals that we have at this time. Someone asked, why are certain areas that are not as close to the school, why aren't they reassigned to a different school. So part of the 4 pillars, the student achievement pillar, staff also looks at student achievement to try to make sure that there is some balance with all the schools in the area. So that's why we chose to keep the certain areas to the south still assigned to the school. Someone asked about the possibility for a school to change its calendar to go multi-track. Staff can certainly look at that as a potential option in the future. Someone's asking about another neighborhood in the area where they considered. Yes, staff looked at all of the neighborhoods in the area. Someone asking about the road boundaries on the maps, if the roads aren't labeled. If you tighten in on the maps, if you make the view, magnify the view, while all the street names aren't labeled, you can see some of the main streets and then work your way back. We just aren't able to provide that detailed of a map. Someone's saying you're taking these, talking as if these proposals are set in stone. Is that the case? No, this is a feedback session. Staff makes the proposal. We take the feedback. We make any suggested edits for draft 2, and I guarantee we will have some for draft 2. But ultimately, we will present this as a final vote to the board, and the board will make a final decision. But these are staff's proposals at this time. Question, is Timber Drive underutilized? Yes, currently Timber Drive, when you look at that slide, I'll go to it. So someone here was asking about Timber Drive. So currently Timber Drive is projected to have a crowding of 45% in 2022. But after the proposed move, they would have a crowding of 68%. So they are currently underutilized. It looks like someone had asked if they wanted to know if there was changes for magnet schools. Can someone please elaborate more on that?
Glenn, if I get that feedback, I'll share it.
Okay. And I just wanted to share with families, if you are asking questions or need particular feedback about your individual student and you're in the Abbott's Creek area, you can contact Sandra Chapman, and Corrali will provide you with her contact information. If you are in the Mills Park, Hortons Creek area, you can contact Dawn Baker. And if you are in the Timber Drive area, you can contact April Hill. They are all student assignment staff, and they will help you with your individual questions. When I say staff, who is that? So you have the Office of Student Assignment staff. If you're talking about staff recommendations for the enrollment plan, we consult with long-range planning, transportation, uh, the schools area superintendents of the particular schools. Someone's asking about, have we had any consideration about the last 2 years, the impact of COVID? Yes, we have. When you're looking at cap schools, though, we still need to provide relief to the schools. We try not to impact as many families as possible. So that's why you see the proposals that we've made at this time.
Few more coming, Glenn.
Okay.
I've had a few questions about this, but we are recording this and I will post it on the website. I messaged all the attendees a link to where it'll be posted tomorrow.
How do you weigh impact as few families with relief to overcapped schools? Not quite sure I understand the question. So when we look at trying to provide relief to overcrowded schools, we try not to impact as many families as possible. So when we look at particular neighborhoods, we look for geographic boundaries that we can separate them. If it's a particular neighborhood, I'm assuming this question is coming from Falls River. Before you get to the last street, before you get to Nealon Street, there is an open space there. You don't find too many open spaces like that in that particular dense area north of Abbott's Creek. And so that's where we looked at trying to provide relief to Cap School, but only impacting a smaller section of the neighborhood. Please provide info on who to contact for Abbott's Creek, Durant Road reassignments. You can provide feedback on the Granicus site. So Corrali, we can share with them at the end the Granicus Ideas website so that families can go to that thread and provide feedback. What is the priority on keeping neighborhoods together? Like I said, as much as possible, we will try to keep neighborhoods together, but when we look for geographic splits, we've had that in the past as well in areas where it's really dense, and so we have to find ways to provide relief to the cap schools. Someone asked about Abbott's Creek possibly going year-round. Staff is looking into that as a possibility for the future. Again, if you have questions or concerns about your individual child, you can contact the Office of Student Assignment. We have senior administrators who are able to work with each individual family to walk them through their options. Someone asked, in the future, does that mean instead of this reassignment? Staff has not made that consideration at this time. How much does moving to year-round alleviate crowding? So when we have a multi-track year-round school, if the school is utilized at every grade level appropriately and all the classrooms, you could see 20 to 25% increase in capacity based on moving from traditional calendar to multi-track year-round.
Drop in any additional questions you guys may have.
Someone asked about a hardship transfer if they have students on different calendars. And so that is something that staff will look at. We always try to provide opportunities for families to remain on the same calendar K-8. It may not be the calendar that you request, but you can certainly have an appeal if staff denies that request, as long as you make that request during the request for transfer period. So that would be February 25th through March 11th. Another question about Abbott's Creek moving to year-round. So I just want to make something clear about a calendar change. So when you look at a reassignment, the reassignment will only impact the students that are being proposed to move from one school to another. When you talk about changing a school's calendar from traditional to multi-track year-round, you've now impacted the remaining students at the school. And so in the case of Abbott's Creek, let's say they have roughly, let's say 800 students, right? So if you're looking at impacting a smaller portion of that, you are now impacting all 800. And so that is something that staff does not take lightly. And so we will need to consider that moving forward.
Please drop in additional questions you may have.
And again, I want to thank everyone for coming to provide feedback and questions. You can also go to the Granicus threads to provide additional feedback as we continue through this process. Draft 2 will be presented to the board on November 16th. And then we will let the public know when we have a public hearing scheduled.
We have a few more questions, Glenn.
So why does redistricting not just pertain to new families moving into the area for stability? Because when you look at new families moving in, if they were the only ones assigned to the new school, you'd have the issue of where some families on a street would be going to one school and others not. And that's exactly what we're having with capping. So we're trying to alleviate that. So for the sake of providing stability with our transportation department and having them come into one area to grab the students on a bus, that's why we look at reassigning an entire neighborhood or portion of it. You also would not see the effects of the proposal and the relief over time because you're banking on new families moving in. So the existing families, if they remain at the school, that would still keep the school as crowded. Someone asked about the calendar change. Would it be discussed possibly for draft 2? So that has just recently come up in the feedback we've gotten. So staff will consider it. I can't say if it'll be considered for draft 2, but even after draft 2, we still have one final draft for the board. So it will be considered between now and then. Someone asked a question about the facilities at Durant. We're going to reach out to the facilities department to find out if they have any information that they can provide about that. Someone asked, do the public hearings carry weight? Do elected officials actually consider the concerns of the parents and students? And yes, if anyone's followed this process over the years, there have been many cases where the feedback we get, both online and in public, is considered and acted upon. Someone asked about Durant Road being a magnet school. Durant Road has not been a magnet school for quite some time. Durant was a magnet when year-round schools were considered magnets because they were a different calendar type. That ended probably somewhere around 2009, if I remember correctly, or actually 2006. So it's been quite some time since Durant has been considered a magnet school. So how does changing a school's capacity from 130% to 120% make a difference? It makes quite a difference. When you look at the impact on the core facilities, the length of the lunch periods, the number of students using the facilities within the building, the restrooms, it makes a significant impact. They're asking about, will teachers lose their jobs? The students bring the teachers. And so when students are assigned to a school, that means that they will need to hire additional teachers to teach those students. And so the teachers will follow those students. So what we also have human resources do is work with schools when there is a reassignment in hopes that the teachers will go from one school to the other. And some teachers do that willingly. Someone asking about the timber Rand Vans change. And so those slides reflect all three moves. So the number of students moving from Rand Road to Timber, and then again from Vance into Rand. And it's not those are not numbers, those are percentages of students. So when you look at the percentage of the capacity, so if you have a 5% increase, you're looking at roughly 5% of the students assigned there compared to the capacity.
Any final questions?
Again, you can continue to provide feedback on the Granicus Ideas threads. They are set up by individual schools and individual proposals, so please go there and provide your feedback. And if you have any questions or concerns about your individual student, you can contact the Office of Student Assignment, and the senior administrators will help walk you through the process.
When we wrap up, I will share a slide with everyone's contact information. Sorry,
Perfect,
Glenn,
thank
go
you.
ahead.
And families can also go to the Wake County website. When you click on the student assignment landing page, you can either go through enrollment or through student assignment. There is a section that says contact us. And when you fill out an email in that contact us, it'll go directly to the administrator who works with your school. Okay, somebody asked about the Vance Rand changes. So the maps with the streets labeled on it for Vance and Rand Road, you would find those on slide 92.
Any additional questions? Okay, there aren't any additional questions. I will share
I think I got
my
one more,
slide.
sorry.
Okay, sorry, Glenn.
Someone mentioned the hardship transfer and what qualifies someone for a hardship transfer. In policy 4150, we have specific criteria that staff is permitted to approve transfers for and what they have to deny transfers for. And so you can look at that. That's policy 4150. But also there are 3 main criteria that staff and the board must consider when making criteria, and it's also outlined in that policy as well. Sorry, Corrali.
No problem. Fine. Oops. I'm about to share my slides if that's okay.
Yep.
Okay. Share. Here's the information everyone was asking for feedback. It's wcpss.granicasideas.com. Our enrollment proposal website is wcpss.net/2022 enrollment proposal. Sandra Chapman with the Abbott's Creek Elementary area, and I think Durant as well, right, Glenn? Is schapman2@wcpss.net.
That's correct.
Okay. Dawn Baker, dbaker2@wcpss.net. This is the Mills Park Elementary and Middle area. I think Panther Creek as well. April Hill is ahill1@wcpss.net, Timber Drive area. And then any other schools, if you all have questions, would be Calvin Hooker, chooker@wcpss.net. We don't have any additional questions. We'll end now. Thank you all.
Thank you for coming out.